part of the leg is there under the knee, and the shoe is attached to that, that's considered the leg. But if it's above the knee, where that's not called regel. It has to be taken off the regel. The regel is the foot, not the, above it's called, what is it called? It's called the shoke, it's called the thigh. Therefore, the person cannot have chalitza. Okay? Min akuva lamato. Remini. Regolim. Okay? This pasuk is regarding who has to be ola regel. Even though it's called regolim, only a person can walk with his own feet. So the Gemara says in Chagiga, prat lebali kabin. The person has a peg leg. He's exempt from alisa regel. So over here, I mean, the man can't walk. I mean, we're talking about even if he's not amputated above the knee, but he can't walk, this person wouldn't have to go be ola regel. Over here it says you remove it from his regel. And over there we say, as long as he has a foot, something, it's good enough. But it says regolim. And so why is he exempt? Here it's called regel, and over there it's not called regel. So how do we reconcile the two? There it says he has to be able to walk with his regel. So factually he's not able to walk, right? He needs some kind of prosthesis to be able to walk. But over here it says it should be removed from his leg. It's called the leg. But he can't walk. It doesn't say he has to be able to. So why not above the knee? Why, if the amputation is only below the knee, meaning there's a part of the foot there? Because he says, me'al v'lo me'al ba'al. He says you take it me'al raglo. Right? The foot is made of below the knee and above the knee. You should take the shoe off his regel, ma'al. So we see the below the knee as one part. That's called me'al dal. That's above the above. So therefore, that's the reason. Omer apab shmami no hai istaviro adaro nochis. Yeah. Hai istaviro, he says, a peg that separates between the thigh and the foot. Hai istaviro adaro nochis. These solkadaitoch mifsik posik havale yu me'al. The shoka me'al de me'al. So he says, from here we're able to deduce the ein od perek acher lemata. Excuse me. 2 seconds. I'm sorry. Leg would be made of 3 parts, right? I mean, you have the ankle, so you have a joint there. But really, it's basically the leg is below the knee and above the knee. So he says you have to say, so we're saying, what's the reason why you can't, if the amputation's above the knee? Why is it a problem? Because that's me'al dal. That's above the lower joint. But let's say the lower part of the leg is made up of 2 joints, right? The ankle is not called the leg, right? The leg is above that. So you should take it from off the leg, the foot. Okay, but let's say the foot itself is made up of two joints, and then you have the thigh. So then, even if the amputation's below the knee, it's still a problem. Because it's me'al dal. It's too high up. If it's one entity, right, it's one joint. So therefore, that's called me'al haregel. That's above the, right, from Right, so that's, he says, from here we see that the joint that's below the knee, that limb is one limb, goes all the way down to the ground. That's all he's saying from this. No, it has to be the right leg. No, he could be amputated. His left leg, he could be totally amputated. She has to take it off the right leg. The right leg. The left is irrelevant. Right? So, Omer Rav Popish, Mamino, Taviro, Ad Aronochis, Tislo, Ad Mifsik Posik, if the leg is made up of two parts, so if that's the case, Havali Yu Me'al, Vishoka Me'al Demal. So therefore it's too high up. Omer Ashi, Afil Tem Mifsik Posik, called the Bahadi Karo Kekaradomi. He said it doesn't make a difference. Faction, let's say the lower part, below the knee, is made up of two joints, but that's called the leg. It's called the leg. So therefore the shoe's removed from the leg. So because it's above, it's called the thigh. So that's too high up, right? That's like above the leg. This is from the leg. That's too high up. Okay. So he says there's no proof. I mean, you take a look at a person where the flesh is removed from his leg. You see, there's one joint or two. I mean, he's deducing this reality of the anatomy from the what? From the halacha. That's where Rav Papa says. Rav, she says no. You could say even though it's made of two joints or whatever, it's irrelevant. What about if it's above the knee? Right, then he's not eligible for chalitza anymore. The surviving brother. Okay, Moshe Rav Kana. It says in the Tochacha, ubishul yoso hayotzi bein ragleo. It says the afterbirth which comes out from between her legs. That means people are going to be starving, so that she's even going to eat of her own children. So it says shul yoso hayotzis bein ragleo. The afterbirth which comes between her legs. So when the afterbirth comes out, where is it? It's the upper part of it, the upper extremity. It's not what it says bein ragleo, between her legs. So you see that even the upper part, even above the knee, is called legs, because Torah refers to it as legs. Hear this? It's terrific. When a woman gives birth, she has to push. So in the old days, what does that mean? She puts her heels, she pulls her feet up, and she presses down. It's like a person's crouching. So therefore, because she's in a crouching position, so where does the shili come out? The afterbirth comes out between her legs. Right. Of course, her knees are bent at the time. Right. So therefore, it's not. So factually, the leg is below the knee. Right. But because in the position she gives birth, when she crouches to create the push, the pressure, not it looks. It is. It's not it looks. The afterbirth.
That's what he's saying with regel. It totally looks like it, but it's not the case.
No, it is bein ragleo. The shili is coming in bein ragleo.
Right.
It's not looking. It is. It's coming out from between her legs.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
You follow me? It's very. She's stuck. She has to wait for a man to die. No, she didn't receive chalitza. We had before. What happens? What happens if a person is a minor, right? What if he's a shota? He's unstable. She's stuck. She's stuck. She has to wait till he dies. If he dies, then she can remarry. He doesn't die. She's stuck. No, that's no problem. No, so she'll give chalitza to them. But let's say he's the only brother. He's a sole brother, right? He's a sole brother, right? She can't get married. Until she has the release, she's not permitted to remarry. Okay? So what about any case? A man is unstable. He can't give a get. He can't give chalitza. Okay, she's stuck. What could you do? It's a tragedy. Toshma lo osa raglov lo osa smov. It says after Shaul was killed, it says that, what's it called? Mephibosheth, he was unkempt. He came to David, he was unkempt. It says lo osa raglov. He didn't do his feet. That means he didn't cut his nails. For lo osa smov, he didn't trim his mustache. He came in a disheveled state. So what are we for? What's raglov? Lo osa raglov. Lo hesis sar zokan atachton. It's referring to what? He did not, in those days, people used to remove their pubic hair. Right? If a person was groomed, was clean, he bathed, they used to remove certain hair from the body. So it says, lo osa raglov. It's referring to the pubic hair. So what he fed, it's referring to Raglov, but it's up by the genital. So you see, even the upper part is what? That's called Raglov versus Lishna Malya. The Pasuk uses the more appropriate term because, like it says, all Potiphar, all he knew was the bread. It's a nice way to say it. I mean, Yosef oversaw all his affairs. The only thing he had was his bread. That means his sexual involvement with his wife. That's all he was consumed with. But the Torah says that's all he was involved in his bread. So it's a nice way to say it. It's not appropriate to say anything. Here also, Toshma, v'yovu shol lohosech es raglov. He wanted to do his bodily functions. So when a person does his father, he says, lohosech es raglov, to relieve his legs. But it's not relief, it's the upper part of the body. Lishna Malya, also, same thing. Toshma, ach mesich hu es raglov, b'cheder hamakiro. Again, same thing. It's referring to relieving himself. The Eglon, right? We find by Gidon, he killed Eglon. Eglon was the father of was Melech Moab. Eglon, he was the father of Rus. Remember, he went in, and he said he had a spear up he had a sword, and the handle was taken off, and he went in. It was up his sleeve, and went in, and he killed him. It says. So he said to him, so he walked out. They said, he's doing his bodily functions. He killed him, right? So, ach meisich hu raglov b'ched amikiro, lishn malyo. Saying, bein ragleo, it says by Sisera, when he was coming back, he was fleeing from Dvor and Borok, Yoel went out, remember, she greeted him, it says, and he cohabited with her 7 times. It says, she fell dead between her legs, with her legs. I mean, he was in her, right? Lishna Malya. Again, also, we're talking about he sexually defiled her. Omer Rabbi Yochanan Sheva Bilos Bolos Rosha Bosayom. He's referring to Sisera. He cohabited with her 7 times. Shnemba Bein Ragleh Korah Nofal Shochav Bein Ragleh Kover Nofal Bashe Korah Sham Nofal Shodut. Welcome, Sanya Me'avera. The Gemara's question. How was she permitted? She was a married woman, Yoel. She's benefiting from the Vaeira, right? Even though it was equivalent of a rape, right? So the Gemara says, so Rashi over there says, why did she allow herself to be? See, it says, of course, she wanted to wear him out. So after cohabiting 7 times, like he's drained. So when he's in this sleepy state, she'll be able to kill him. That was the whole idea of Yoel, why she did this. So Gemara says, she's benefiting from Vaeira. She's a married woman. Omer Rabbi Yochanan Mishmishmi Choy Kol Tovosin Shel Rishoyim Rohi. Yeah? The good that you receive from a Rasha, that's evil. You understand? As much as he's the epitome of man, of masculinity, for her, this is like being raped by a gorilla. The good that from a Rasha, this is not her no. Which factually, she wasn't becoming an adulteress. Of course, she didn't participate, but she benefited from the Vaeira. She didn't benefit from the Vaeira. It's the equivalent of a rape. It was the equivalent of a rape. Because the only reason because again, if she didn't participate, right, he forced himself, but she said okay. Well, why did she say okay? Because she wanted to wear him out, right? And where do we see that the good that you get from evil is called raw? By tzaddik, shenemar hishamloch pet dabrim Yaakov mitova draw. Yeah, Lavan was pursuing Yaakov because he fled and he was going to kill him. Hashem comes to Lavan in the dream, and what does he say to him? I don't want you to speak with Yaakov, good or bad. Bishlom l'chai, we understand. Hear this. Hashem says, I don't want you to speak bad to him. So it's understood. I don't want you to threaten him. But what do you mean? You shouldn't speak good to him? What's wrong with speaking good to him? Right? El Tova, my love, why not? Why is Hashem warning Lavan, even good you shouldn't speak to him? Shmami no, Tobosu Shom Roy Meitzil Tzadikim. Yeah? A Rosh makes you an offer. As good as it is, it's dread. Bishlo Mahosam Dilma Mitkale Shemadavodazora. Yeah? By Yaakov, what's the reason you could say? Because Lavan was a pagan, right? He was after his fetishes. Everything was idolatry. So even within the good, It may be something intermingled with idolatry. Yeah, but what's the raw? What's the negative side of it? The koshad beizuma, because he's polluting her. Because what he represents is evil. He's polluting her. Does he have any commentator over the commentary? How did she benefit from whether she was a rape victim or she was considered adulteress? Right. So really it was adultery. Then she was not permitted to husband. She was not permitted to husband. It's adultery. This is like Esther. Esther became forbidden to Mordechai. Of course, at the end, she was agreeable to, she initiated it. But it's said over there, but still, why she praised. If, in fact, it's still such a disgusting, despicable act, why she praised for it. Esther's not praised for having relations with Achashverosh, right? The answer is, because he's saying, it's not considered, for her, this was like going through hell. That's how bad it was. Domer Rabbi Yochanan. No, Esther. They weren't permitted. Yet that she said, kasher avarti avorti. Right? That's it says in the beginning, kasher avarti avorti. As I was lost from my parents' home, I'm lost from my husband's home. That's what she said. It's Gemara. Domer Rabbi Yochanan, listen to this. What's the zuama? What's the spiritual pollution? Domer Rabbi Yochanan, b'shosheba noch shal chavo. The nochash, the snake in the Garden of Eden. He can't, he sexually, he came upon Chava, besides the Deit Zadas. So it says, at the time that he came upon Chava, he infused it with this impurity, this spiritual impurity. Yisrael, it's Gemara Shabbos, the same Gemara in Shabbos, very important Gemara. Yisrael she'amdu al Sinai poskezu mosa. We, the Jews who stood at Sinai, because we were exposed to that intense level of Kedusha, that Zuma, that spiritual impurity was vaporized. It no longer existed with us. Of the Kachom Shlom al Sinai lo poskezu mosa. But the Goyim who not, so therefore, the whole level of Bechira for us and for a Goy, Ramchal speaks about, it's a different level. A Jew is able to take control of his life. Yeah? Because we don't have the Zuma. The person's a drug addict. He's not a master over his being, because he has this substance in his body, which all of a sudden it sets off a craving that he can't control himself. That's a Goy. The Zumosam, that's a certain magnetic pull for sin. So now you understand why a Jew could be given Torah mitzvos, and a Goy said just live like a civilized human being. Because all the details, the nuances of mitzvos, it's only if we'd have the Zuma, we couldn't do it. You don't have sufficient control. Don't kill. Don't steal. Okay, that's even with the Zuma you can control yourself. But all the other nuances, let's talk about the sexual relationships. What's considered incest for a Jew, for a Goy is not, right? It's not an aunt. Goy wants to marry his aunt. He married his Aunt Tilly, or his aunt, whatever they call her, right? Not a problem. Aunt Mary. He can marry Aunt Mary, or the Hail Mary. He can do whatever he wants with her. A Jew is not permitted, right? That's this week's parsha. Amram married his aunt, but that was pre-Sinai. Pre-Sinai was permitted, because what was our classification? With B'nai Noach. It was only from Sinai onward, then it became a problem, okay? So, over the Chom Shalom de Sinai, lo posku zumosa, cholza b'mino she'enu shalo. The Mishnah says, what happens if you use the shoe, which is not his shoe? The shoe that he used for chalitza was not his shoe. Tanar Abora, nalo, ainli ele nalo, nal shel kol odaminayin. How do we know that he even used somebody else's shoe? It doesn't have to be a shoe. Talmud loma nal. Nal mikol mokom. It says nal. Let's see, 1 second. Rega. V'dikra shmo b'shur beis chalutz hanoal. It doesn't say nal. It says nal. They will pronounce beis chalutz hanal. The house that was what? Which had chalitza with the shoe. Does it with his shoe? So the now without the vav tells me it doesn't have to be his shoe. So what does it say? You remove the shoe, his shoe from his foot. Right? It says shofar. It says v'cholza nalo me'araglo. You remove. So what's the nalo initially? Nalo roy lo. What about it has to be a shoe that fits? Prat godol shen yochol halachbo. Let's say the shoe is so low. We had earlier that even if the shoe doesn't fit exactly the size, but if you could walk with the shoe, that's a sufficient shoe. But if it's so large, or so small, it doesn't fit on his foot, that's not. Because it has to have relevance for him to be able to wear it as a shoe. Uprat lakot sheido chofer rov raglo comes to exclude a shoe that doesn't cover the majority of his foot. Uprat lasandal hamsulayim she'ein lo okev. What about if you have a shoe, but it doesn't have a heel on it? Okay. It's interesting. How do we know? Nalo, I understand that it has to be able to. It can't be too large. It can't be too small, and it comes to exclude a sandal that doesn't have a heel. How does that lie in the connotation nalo? His shoe. His doesn't mean he has to own it. It means it has to have relevance to him. It shouldn't be too large and it shouldn't be too small. Okay. So how does in nalo? How does it indicate heel? Again. Start over again. We had a problem. If a person is able to use his shoe, even if it's not his shoe, what does it should say? V'cholza v'shol. It says v'cholza now. Why does that say nalo his? So we're asking a question on the vav. You understand what's bothering me? On the vav. So therefore we say it means it has to have relevance to him. It can't be too large, can't be too small. Right? That's what we're answering.
Okay.
And also, if it doesn't have a heel, it also doesn't qualify.
Okay.
How is that lie in nalo? Low. His. You know what the answer is? Because you can't wear it. If a sandal without a heel, you can't wear the sandal. Just as if it's too large, you can't wear it. And if it's too small, you can't wear it. If the sandal doesn't have the heel, it's not wearable. And therefore, it's not nalo. It has no relevance to him as to be worn. You following?
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. You have to appreciate the question and understand the answer. I want you to say the question, tell me the answer.
So the question was, we're questioning the idea of the sandal. If it's too big, if it's too small.
Why is it not valid if it's too big or too small?
Because you have to be able to walk it. So
Why? How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know?
we said yesterday that it has to
Not yesterday, what we said today. How do you know?
It said it has to fit.
How do you know it has to fit? How? Because you said it has to fit, or I said it has to fit. Torah says it has to fit. But where does the Torah say it has to fit?
It says, well, his.
No, it says na'alo. Na'alo. No, it's the low of the now. Now it's spelled nun ayin lamed, and it puts a vav at the end. His shoe. If it doesn't fit, it's not. It has no relevance to him. Right? So I asked the question, then how do I draw from that na'lo that if it doesn't have a heel? That was the question I asked. The answer is because you're not able to walk with a sandal if it doesn't have a heel. So again, it has no relevance to him. It's like it's not a wearable shoe. Okay. Now you understand the answer because you understood the question. Okay. Abai havi kami the Rav Yosef. Abai was before Rav Yosef. He was a Talmud. Aso Yivom alachlo. So Yivom came to receive chalitza in the presence of Rav Yosef. Oma lei hav lei sandaloch. You hear this? So Rav Yosef says to Abai, take off your sandal, give it to him. Meaning the Yavam who walked in, he didn't have a sandal. So Abai was wearing a pair of sandals. So Rav Yosef is instructing his Talmud, take off your sandal, give it to him. Yeah? Amalei havlei sandloch. Yovlei sandal, the smaller. He took off his left sandal. He didn't give him his right sandal. Amalei eimodom rabbonon dieved l'chatchil mi omer. What do you give him your left sandal? You give him the right sandal. It says b'di'evet, if you use a left sandal on the right, it's still good. But why should we do it b'di'evet? Do it l'chatchila, right? Omali ihochi sando she'enu shelo nami. Yeah? He says if that's the case, it says a person uses a sandal which is not his, it's valid. What's the connotation? It's valid. It's not l'chatchila. So if it's not l'chatchila, so what are you telling me? The whole thing's a b'di'evet here, right? So I could give my left shoe too, my left sandal. Eimedo Rabbanon diavad lechatchila miyomar. Eimedo Rabbanon diavad lechatchila miyomar. Omle hochi kamin loch. Havle va'aknile. When I said give, it's like a matonam nas lahachzir. Give him the shoe, transfer it, the ownership to him. So as a result of that, he's using his own shoe. So therefore, it's lechatchila. But the evet, even if it's not your shoe, it's valid. Preferably, it should be his own. So I'm saying you should give your shoe not to lend it to him. It's like the lulav the first day. What do? We give him matonam slahachzir. You gift it to the person. Gift him your shoe. So if you give, here we're functioning at a lechatchila level. So what do you give him? The left shoe. Give him the right shoe. But you see from Abaye, Abaye was the most special student of Rav Yosef. He was able to deduce, if you tell me that he should give me the shoe, so the whole thing's a b'diavad. This is b'diavad, what do I have to give him, my right shoe? Well, give him the left shoe. So Rav Yosef says to a student, you don't understand what I meant. When I said give him the shoe, not lend him the shoe, but transfer the shoe that it should be his when he's doing the chalitza. You follow me? No, he puts it on his right foot. Because it's wearable. You could walk. It may not be the most comfortable. Yeah, I mean, you ever see kids, before they know the right from the left, they're wearing the left shoe on their right foot. They could walk. Howard, you want to look under the table, please? Okay. Sandal shalates. What if the sandal is made of wood? It says, Mantana, Omeshmur Remehi. Right? Because it's not simple. Sandal is always leather. Remeir says, even if it's a wooden sandal, it's good. It's Remeir. That amputee is able to go out with his peg leg. Okay? He's permitted to wear it. So that's called a shoe. No, it's not speaking about, it's just a peg leg made of wood. It's covered with leather. So because it's covered with leather, it's interesting. It's interesting. On Tisha B'Av or Yom Kippur, if you have, let's say, a canvas sneaker, and it has on the outside, it has leather, like leather coverings. You're not permitted to wear it. Because if it's, even though the material, what your foot is in, is made of canvas, but if the outer covering is leather, that's called that's a leather shoe. It's the same. The peg leg. The peg leg is made of wood, but if it has a leather covering, it's only covering. Right? It's only like a veneer. That's all it is. It's not leather. A leather shoe is a leather shoe. It's not leather. So he says no. The Gemara says no. Even a covering, that's called leather. So it meets the stand. So therefore, it doesn't. It's not limited to Remeir. Everybody agrees to this. No. Shabbat, no. You're permitted. There's the question. If you wear it in a public domain, if it detaches itself, you may pick it up and you may carry it. Right? But if you see it as a regular shoe, you're permitted to wear shoes. Or were you afraid somehow the shoe will fall off your foot? We're not worried about that. No, but what happens if he picks? Let's say extension, and it's inevitable. It's going to fall off, and he's going to pick it up and carry it. Extension is like that's when he's wearing it. But if this is inevitable, it's a problem. Right? There's a whole discussion to wear a wide-brimmed hat, according to Rashi, on Shabbos. Not all. No, not all. There's a question why you're not permitted to wear a wide-brimmed hat, which is more than 4 inches. 4 inches or more. So one opinion is because you're creating an oil. Other is no, because there's if the brim is too wide, you know what happens? What happens is the wind should come, goes under your brim, blows the hat off your head. So if you're in Rosh Hashanah, you run after the hat, you pick it up. So before you put it on your head, you may walk a little bit. And if you walk, you may be in violation of transporting public domain. Therefore, they say if that brim is too wide, you shouldn't wear such a hat on Shabbos. Because it's not, at certain seasons. If it's windy, you'll end up violating Shabbos. So the same thing with the peg leg. If you're concerned, it's inevitable to fall off, the man's not going to, he may like drag himself a little bit, and he'll be carrying the peg leg until he can sit down and put it back on. But if he carries it, he's in violation of transporting in Shabbos. That's the discussion of Yossi. So we're saying the peg leg we're talking about over here is not just a wooden leg. It's coated with leather. Okay? Correct. Because of the leather covering. Omer Apopi Mishmei Durova Sandal HaMuzgar Lo Sachel. What's the sandal HaMuzgar? The Torah speaks about clothing which have a discoloration on it regarding a tzaras. So it says you lock it away. You wait a week, then the Kohen re-examines it. You wash it. Did the stain go away? Did the stain come back? So let's say it hasn't been pronounced as a shoe that's a leper shoe, like a human being. The Kohen examines the lesion. He quarantines it for a week, comes back, checks it after a week. Same thing with a garment. So let's say you have a shoe that has this level of discoloration on it. And the Kohen says, look, we have to put it away, wait and see. So when it's sandal amuskar, it's just locked away. If you use that shoe for a chalitza, it's valid. What about it's a sandal muchlat? It was confirmed this is definitely a leper's shoe. What do you do with a leper's shoe? You know what you have to do? You have to burn it. It has to be destroyed. So we're talking about what we'll see in a moment. It's valid. What about sandal hamuchlot? It's already been determined, confirmed that this is definitely a leper's shoe, which has to be burnt. What's the reason? We have, what's the halacha? A lulav, that's a lulav, which is ad asherah. Because we say something that you're obligated to burn, we see it like a heap of ash. Doesn't exist, even though physically it exists. So a shoe, if the halacha dictates you must burn it, it's like the shoe doesn't exist. You're putting on an artificial shoe on your foot. As if it's burnt already. Same idea. You this? Rav Papa argues, says the name of Rava, whether it's questionable or even determined. It's kosher. Meisvei. So the Gemara asks, a house which is questionable whether it's a leprosy. He saw some discoloration on the wall. You remove the stones, put them back. So the house is questionable. What's going to be? Is the discoloration going to come back or not? So the halacha is, if you go in that house, you become contaminated. Like there's a corpse in the house. But let's say you touch it on the outside, you're not contaminated. What about it's confirmed this house is a leprous house, and the house has to be destroyed? Even if you touch the outside of the house, you're tummy, right? On the inside and the outside. It only contaminates from inside. Wait a second. From the inside and from outside. Okay? Both of them, if you enter into the house, you're tummy. If you can say, you look at like what? As if it's been destroyed, as if it's already shattered, smashed. It says you have to go into the house. No, it's not a house. It's like a bunch of broken pebbles. It's not a house. Yeah, it says you will smash the house. So you hear this? Even when it's smashed, it's called bayis. Difficulty here. A little bit of difficulty here. There's a famous Reb Chaim. What's the halacha if you have a lechi? On Shabbos you have a lechi. It has to be 10 tefachim. So the Gemara said, the Rambam rules that lechi shel ashero is a valid lechi. Even if the lechi from ashera tree or in Igdachas, it's a valid. So the question is, but if you have to have a shear of 10 tefachim, and just like lulav you 4 tefachim, if it's shel ashera or derchas, it's possible because you see it as a heap of ash. So over here, why a lechi, which has to be 10 tefachim? You see that heap of ash, it shouldn't be valid. That's the question they ask. So Rav Chaim differentiates. Very simple. What would be if you take literally ash and you pile up 10 tefachim high? Is it a lechi? It doesn't have to be one entity. It could be multiple, endless, as long as it adds up to be 10 tefachim. Lulav has to be one entity. It has to be one. But if you see it, really, it's like it's artificially attached. It's not a lulav. So my difficulty is, if that's how he answers, so we say the same word. It says, but how could you call it a bayis? If you see it as smashed, what are you talking about? But you walk into a house, does it offer shelter? It offers shelter, right? It has no relevance to this. So my answer is because it says it's a bayis. Even when it's in a smashed state, it's called bayis. What do we need that? This is similar to the lechi in regard to Shabbos. Yeah, my question. what? So therefore what? So what? So what? So what? No, it says the stone's contaminated even after you destroy the house. But it says even if you walk into the house after it's been determined, you're tummy. It says, but if we see it already as a smashed house, it says ubo el abayis, but it's not a bayis. It's rubble.
It's a house. It's falling in a house.
So he says because it says in the pasuk nosas it's a bayis. I'm asking without that. Factually, you go in there. Let me ask you a question. I'll ask you a question. What would be if you'd have a what? I mean, the answer is the same answer. Let's say you'd have a corpse in this house. Would you be mitami tumas oil? Definitely. Why? Because you're under a roof covering. No, because there's not halach and bayis. There's halach and oil. So it's the same thing. Let's say you have a roof covering made of ash, but it's one continuous covering. You don't need a bias. You don't need a bias. You don't need a bias. You need a covering. Here it calls it bias. Bias is like an entity. So he says, of course, there's a pasuk that even in the smashed state, it's still called bias. Okay? No, that's why. That's why when you walk into it, it's considered you walked into the bias. Even in a state of rubble, halachic rubble, it's what?
But that whole, even if there's no, I mean, you're walking into the area, so you don't have to touch the rubble.
You know, just walking into that house.
Into the area.
Through that front door.
And, I mean, even though there's rubble in the front door, you walk into there.
No. If actually it's all rubble, it's been destroyed. If you don't physically touch it, you're not tummy. No. You're not tummy. Okay? Toshma. Mat l'sheish bo shalosh oshos. You have a rag or a cloth. It's 3 by 3 inches, like the size of a patch. Aval pishe bukzayis. Keib shnitz rubo lebayis tor tamehu. Right? One second. Mat l'sheish bo shalosh aval pishe ein bukzayis. There you go. Yeah, what it means. It's 3 by 3, and none of the threads, ebok zayis. Meaning, if you, let's say you fold it up, it will not be a kazayis. Let's say you have a garment which becomes, is considered leprous. Let's say you have a patch. A patch is called a begit. You use it. So let's say this patch was pronounced to be tomei. And if you would crumple it up in its volume, it would not be a kazayis. So if you spread it out, it's 3 inches by 3 inches. But it's made of such fine thread that volume-wise, if you bunch it up, it's going to be less than a gazayas.
When you say 3 by 3, it's area and
Not density, not volume. Meaning, if you open it, it's 3 by 3. But if you, let's say, you roll it up, and you roll it into it's a tiny little thing. Okay? Wait a second. If you take this and you put it into a house, yeah, this is like from a corpse, right? So we'll say even though the cloth is not a kazayis, but since it's called a begetome of taras, if the majority of it was brought into a house which is not contaminated, everything becomes contaminated in the house. Yeah. Seemingly, what is the cloth? The cloth must be a muchletis, lo musgeris. Because the difficulty is, if we say you have to have a shear of 3 by 3. So it's aloch and shear. So, but if it's muchletis, you don't have a shear. What do you tell me? Even it's not a kazayas, but it's not called 3 by 3. It's like separated, so like ashes, right? It's not one entity. You need 3 by 3 because it's an entity. Right. And here I don't have a pasuk. So if that's the case, why is it metami the house? Mer says lo b'miskeris. It hasn't been determined that it's definitely a contaminated garment, so it doesn't have to be burnt yet. So therefore, it's metami, right? He says, okay, let's read the conclusion. Let's say the volume of the cloth, if you bunch it up, is a number. It was very coarse, right? Here, let's say it's not 3 by 3, Okay? And part of it, a kzayis of it, entered into the house, even though it's not the majority. It's not the majority. It contaminates. Yeah, this thing terrific. We're saying like this. What's the reason? We said earlier that if you take, it's 3 by 3, and if you bunch it up, it's not a kazayis. If the majority goes into the house, it contaminates the house. Why? Because we have a principle of rove, the majority. What about, it's a number of kazayisim, and he only allows a kazayisif to enter into the house. Right? So we say the house is tummy. Why is the house tummy? The majority is outside. Only a kazayis. The cloth itself is a number of kazayisim. We say even if the minority, but if the minority is a kazayis, the house is tummy. Why is the house tummy? The answer is, he says, because we equate the mitzorah to the corpse. If you have a kazayis of a miss, right? Let's say a corpse, and a person's, a small fraction of his body is inside the house, but it's a kazayis. Everything in the house is contaminated, even though the majority of the body is outside. Doesn't make a difference. So similarly, the cloth, even though the majority of the cloth is outside, but if the part of the cloth that's inside is a kazayis, it contaminates the house, right? So he's saying, he says, that makes sense. We equate it to the mess, so therefore a mess, as long as it's kazayis, it's enough. And so it's not, we don't equate that to the corpse. So why, if the majority is outside and only kazayis inside, why does it contaminate the house? It's not considered the garments in the house because the majority is outside. 7, what are we talking about? It's muchletis. It is muchletis. That means it's been determined. It is. So, and yet we say, but if we say, we see it as if it's burnt, so it's not 3. It's not 3 by 3. On that shani hosna makrov sorav it's a beged. Yeah, this. Torah says you must burn the beged. Similar, it says you smash the house. Even in a smashed state, it's called house. Even when you're burning it, it's still called beged. Same answer. I feel b'shas rei v'kori beged. V'ligmi minei isumi tumo. Right? Ligmi minei isumi tumo lo gamrinon. Yeah. No. No, even though we see it as, even though it's ash, the Torah says in an ash state it's called beged. It says v'sorvus beged. Even in ash state, it still is classified as beged. So that means you say you don't look at it as what, as just particles. You look at it as beged. So if you look at it as beged, it's a problem. So it contaminates. Even though the laws must be burnt, similar to the house. Even though you see the house is smashed as rubble, as long as physically the structure stands as a house, that's called a house. We don't deal with the halachic status that it must be burnt, it must be smashed. Yeah, sure. Lulav. Because I'd have psukim for that. I'd have a person tell me that a lulav near das, even as in a burnt state, it's called lulav. Yeah, but mitzvah slav lahanis. To use it for a mitzvah, it shouldn't be a problem. That's not a problem. Mitzvah slav lahanis. That's called benefiting. To be yotzei a mitzvah. No, because benefiting mitzvah is not called as much as you think, it's not a benefit. A spiritual benefit is not called a benefit. Benefit means a physical benefit. If the shear would not be the issue, you could be yotzei with a lulav of near dachas on the second day Yom Tov, where it does not be lochem. Where it does not be lochem. That's what it's speaking where you don't need lochem. You don't have to own it. You got it, Howard. No. The second day Yom Tov. Lots in sukkah. You mean it's less than 3 by 3? No, that's posh. It's not called beged. No, because it doesn't function as a beged. Because it's like smashing a vessel. like a vessel, let's tell me you smash it. What's the halacha? It's shards. It's called shards.
It's no longer contact.
But this physically is 3 by 3. It's still it is still 3 by 3. Physically it's 3 by 3. But the halacha burning, she should see it as, even though it's 3 by 3, it's like, what happens if I take threads of a cloth and I put them next to one another, covers an area 3 by 3? That, touching one another, does that contaminate? It's not. It's not one entity. It's made up of many entities. That's not a 3 by 3 piece of cloth, right? They have to be intertwined as one entity. So if the halach of burning causes it to be seen as separate entities, why does it contaminate? Samara says there's a gezer shekos. Physically, it's one. We see it as one, even though the halach is it must be burnt, because Torah refers to it in the state of burning as beged. Even in a halachic burnt state, it's called beged. No, if you cut it into small strips, it won't contaminate. No. If physically you burn it, it's also not tummy. If you burn it, it's not tummy. It's supposed to be burnt. The supposed to be burnt doesn't reduce it that I should see it as ash. Therefore, it's tummy when it's still intact. And the intermediate, it's still tummy. Terrific. See, now I see you're getting it. Good, Baruch Hashem. I see growth. Okay. Omar Rava, Hilso. Echot sandal muske, echot sandal shemuchlot. Yeah, whether it's a questionable sandal that's leprous, or it's been determined it's leprous. V'echot sandal shalavidisko chovim. It was used for idolatry also. It has to be destroyed. Lo sachlos. You should not use chalitza. V'imcholzo, chalitza suksheiro. But if you use it, it's kosher. Okay? What about shatakruvas avudisko chovim, shalir nidachas? What about it's something which is used as what's your name? You use it as a means of worship. Not you worship it as a means of worship, or it's an irin dachas. Shal zokon osi lichvodo. Yeah, we're talking about it's a shoe that's made to put, like we have tachrichim for a mess. So this shoe is a shoe which is not a walking shoe. It's made specifically for the corpse. They would put like, you ever see the, like in Iran, you know, the leprechauns, those kinds of shoes. It's a soft shoe, but it's made of leather. It's not that, because that shoe is not a walking shoe. You don't walk on that shoe. So now we have a problem.
Is it the kind of shoe it is, or is it used for some kind of idolatry?
No. Which shoe?
Soft leather shoe.
No. Because
Specifically made for idolatry.
not idol. No, it's made for a corpse. For a corpse, like tachrichem, like the shrouds. You have shrouds. The shoes are made. This shoe is not a regular person who doesn't walk in that shoe. It does make the Jew a non-Jew. 1 second. Now the question is, why do we differentiate between takruvas over kochavim? We just finished saying that's by what's his name. We ruled before. Rav had said that the shoe of a mitzvah muskar, muchlot. Oh, that's with what's his name? Yeah. It's good. So why should takruvas over kochavim? No sachos. Takruvas over kochavim. No, I understand that. It says earlier, if it's something, meaning if you worshipped it, if you worship something, that the item doesn't have to be burnt. You're not allowed to benefit from it. So therefore, you could use the chalitza, but that's not called benefit. It's a mitzvah. But what about you use that to serve the idol? No. If you use it, it's worse than the idol itself. That has to be destroyed. That's called takruvas. You used it to worship the idol. Irni dachas, it has to be burnt. No, because he's not worshiping. If he wears certain clothing, and he worships with those clothing, then it will be something else. So that's part of that's the way you're serving the idol, right? If you're wearing clothing, the person's serving the idol. It's not his clothing that's serving the idol, right? But the Gemara speaks about. Let's say you take a stone. There was a type of that called Marculis, mercury. The worshippers used to throw stones at it. It was like a vertical and horizontal stone going across the top, and they would stone it, right? That was so the stone that you throw. That stone is called Takur Savaris Kochavim. That stone you can't benefit from. It has to be destroyed. I mean, you can't burn a stone, but it has to be thrown into the Yam HaMelech. Okay? What? An idol that you worship. The idol does not have to be. You don't have to burn the idol. You're not allowed to benefit from the idol. But what you use to serve the idol, right? Let's say you throw, you put the wood let's see, you put wood before the idol to use to burn the sacrifice. That wood's part of the service of the idol. That wood has to be burnt, and you can't benefit from it. What? No, I mean you have to put it away. You're not allowed to be associated with it, but it does not be burnt. Okay. So he says, somewhere asks, Omale Ravino the Ravashi Maishno Zoke no Osi Lechvodo. He says, why? If it's made Lechvodo, Rashi says, it's a special shoe they made for a person who had a status of a sage. The Lavli Luchavdi, because it's not that kind of shoe, people don't walk on that shoe. It's not called a now. The Veidina Nami Lav, somewhere asks, the Veidina Nami Lav Luchavdi. He says, so what about the shoe they use in Bezdin? The sandal is called a Chalitza shoe. Today, right? Nobody uses that shoe. What happens if the Shlich Bezdin would wear, he doesn't have his own shoes, and he puts it on table and walks out with it. If the head of the Bezdin, is he makbid? He's not makbid. But you see, a Chiddush, I would have answered differently. The shoe is made in a certain way, it's for Tachrichin. It's made for a corpse. He says, so what about the sandal? The sandal is a regular sandal. It happens to be, it meets criteria, the use of chalitza. It has to be all leather. It has to be able to be secure on his foot. It's a regular sandal. The shoe that you're putting on the corpse, that sandal, it's recognized, people don't walk in those sandals. I mean, so what's the question? So evidently we see that even if the sandal is a sandal a person would walk on, right? You go to Tom McCann, right? Tom McCann, and you buy sandals for a corpse. So even though the guy in Greenwich Village wears those same sandals, the Greenwich Village sandal you could use for chalitza, up in Riverside, that sandal can't be used for chalitza. Because that sandal was not meant to walk on. Even though when it was manufactured it was. Doesn't make a difference. It's actually the function, how it's utilized. To be continued.